You're watching the Home Design Mentor channel on YouTube. It's time for lesson number 3 of creating our super mega mansion kitchen design in our traditional Georgian-style house that we've begun. This is lesson number 3, the Florette. This is only the Florette design that we're going to be working with today. And it's a very specific detail, and it's something that takes some skill to create. So I thought I would show you how I did it, and maybe that can help you create something like this on your own if you want to do something like this someday, or just to learn what this is about in this kind of architecture, what these details mean, what they do. So we start with a circle. In SketchUp, I use a larger number of segments than just the standard 24. I believe this is 96. Segments, there's no true round shape. Each part of anything is a segment, and a circle has a series of segments to create a circle. That's important to kind of understand how I've started that here. What we're going to look at more closely is how to create this medallion. It's a circular shape. It's a Florette design over a round plaque over a block plaque. And we created the block plaque in the last episode. So we go back and we look at our Kensington Court kitchen picture here. You'll see that wonderful Florette design there. We'll zoom up close to it so you can see it a little bit better. That's where we're going with this wonderful detail that you see in traditional architecture. So the very first thing I've done here with our circles is I'm going to create an edge to it. And it has a quarter round edge to the outside of it. So I make a quarter round shape and use our Follow Me tool, our wonderful SketchUp Follow Me tool, which I use so often and it works so well, to create that outer ring of our plaque that we're getting this going with. And understand that I overlay groups and components in order to make this happen. It takes some practice in SketchUp to make all of this work. So what's tricky here is we want to make the very center of that flower design a button, I'll call it, for lack of a better word. I'm sure there's a better word for it. But that button is a half dome shape. So I've created a circle to use on the Follow Me tool, which is the first one that's over the plaque, and then this second one here on the side of the column. And we're going to take half or a quarter round and then do the Follow Me tool, and that gets us a dome shape, which is what we need to place in there. Then I use the Resize tool, which I also find really useful in SketchUp, to put that into place and make that a component. We'll call it the flower button. And there you have it. It's set in place. I need to reverse the face on it. So I go back and I edit and reverse that face so that it's white on the outside instead of the blue. The next thing I'm going to be looking at here is creating those petals that surround that button, the petals of the flower. I'll start that by drawing a couple of rectangles of equal size along the center line of our design. And then I'm going to use guidelines to know where I need this petal to be. And being that we have 8 petals, and I want to know where the center line of the petal is, I'm going to divide our circle into 16 parts with these guidelines. So I have 16 sections here where there will be 8 petals that will make up this center part of the Florette design. I start with an arc. Once again, I use more segments in my circles and arcs than SketchUp defaults to. And then I give it some sides along those guidelines. And then I go back and erase some of these extraneous features. And once I've done that, I can now call it petal, make it a component. So we can duplicate it and just copy that around our button here in a moment. What I'm doing now, though, is going back in and setting up some parameters to work with on making this thing work. And what I see when I look at the petal is I see an arc at the top and then a shallower arc below that. And with that shape and then pulling it forward and extruding it, I start to get some interesting shape here to work with. And then by using the resize tool is a really useful feature in SketchUp, you see that I've now created more of a petal shape. And what I can do then is go back and use the soften tool and soften that whole component so that it now has more of an organic look to it instead of just straight lines. And then I copy that petal times 7. I have one, I need 7 more, and so I copy it and just go around the outside of the circle or outside of the button of the flower, and boom, you have your petals for the flower, and we make that a component itself. Let's go back and see our drawing, our picture there, and it does look like our picture, so that's exactly what we want. The next thing I need to do is start working on the leaf design, which surrounds the petals. And in the circular plaque that I've created, I'm going to make another arced shape that I'm going to use the Follow Me tool to run around. And I'm going to use a second circle to use the Follow Me tool with, and that does exactly what I want. Goes around, makes a dome around the circle there. And then I pull it out just a little bit because I want that shape to be... see how that leaf comes out over that petal a little bit? So I need that to come out just a little bit, and I make that shape. Can go back in and now make an arc to start the leaf design. Similar to what we did with the petal, I'm going to go in here and put in some construction lines, and now I have a shape started. Let's make another arc here at the base of our leaf because that will... we don't want it to cover the petal, but we do kind of want it to surround it. So I make that second arc, get that in there. And then I can start extruding it. Now where do we go? All right, so I'm going to do something similar that I did to the petal. I'm going to divide this leaf shape into a couple of different arcs. And once I do that, I can start pushing and pulling to give us a good shape for the leaf design. And see here, what we do is we go in and we select both of those arcs. We resize by pushing it backward. Similar thing here up at the top. We resize the arcs, and that is starting to get the shape we want. Let's push this top two arcs back lower. You have to practice with the Size Me tool to see how this works, understand how this works. Play with it. It's you learn from playing. So just take this on one day if you want to learn how to do this. Take it on and play around and see what you can do with it. It's tricky, but once you get the hang of it and you know what to do with it, you can start making these things work for you. So there we have a basic leaf shape, and we can once again go in and make that a component. We'll call this the leaf of the florette. Also go in and use the soften tool here. Yeah, the soften. Once we have the soften tool on it, we can start giving it a more organic feeling as well. And now that we have that leaf, we do the same thing that we did with the petal. We can go into our guideline center point, take our protractor tool, grab the edge of the leaf, and we want to make 7 of them. So what I do here is I go around to the other edge, I divide that by 7, and poof, I've got my 8 leaves surrounding my 8 petals and my flower button. Wonderful. Now this is turning out very nicely here. Looking at some of the detail in it, we want to clean up. Let's push the button back in. Let's push that center part back in so that it's not protruding out over our button and our petal. There's another line, extraneous line here, which is part of the petal. We'll go back in and erase that line. Now, let's see, what else do we have? We want to, this plaque, actually, I had left indented just to get things started and going more simply. And what I'm going to do is just pull that out and go back in and grab our leaves and pull them out to be on the face of the plaque. And the same thing with the petal and button design. And we're going to pull that out so that it's on our plaque as well. And now we've got something here that looks a lot like the picture that we're working from. Now here we're going to go in and we're going to make a component of our complete plaque or Florette plaque design and medallion. We'll call it a medallion plaque. And that will be something that we can just duplicate. It'll be a component. If we ever want to change it, they'll all change. You can see them there in the background in this as I'm changing this one detail on the petal here. And also what I've done is I've noticed that the petal looked a little thick at the bottom, and I'm going to push that back. And now when I come back out and I look at the button, that looks a little more realistic, but I'm going to push my button back now because I had pushed the base of the petal in. So I go in and grab the edge of our button and push that back so that it matches the edge of the petal. Looks really nice. And I think there's one other thing here that I've noticed in the picture of this design is the leaves are not, or I should say the leaves are not lined up exactly with the petals below them. They're offset. And I'll show you that here in the side picture. So we want to just rotate that, and that rotation off of the center point is 22.5 degrees. And once we do that with our protractor tool and position that, now we've got a medallion Florette design that looks pretty much like the picture that we have of this wonderful kitchen detail in our super mega mansion kitchen. That's the end of lesson 3. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like.